Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me. You've come here at a good time, given that right now I am going through a horrendous time on the golf course. Not great timing, you might say, given that right now in Ireland the weather is unbelievable, the evenings are longer, we're mid-season, and we're at a time where you really want to be seeing your work from the off-season pay off in terms of your handicap dropping, your performance improving. Things have never been all rosy in the garden of my golf game. And over the last number of years, I've been playing fairly consistently. However, over the last few months, I've developed massive destructiveness off the tee. This has come in the form of what would be considered my regular miss, which is a slice. But given that I've learned far more about my golf swing in particular over the last number of years, I'm aware that my club face is open at impact quite often, which forces me to shut it aggressively and results in a pull straight left into bushes, ditches, whatever you want to call it, and out of the hole. Both faults are hugely frustrating, massively infuriating, and game breaking, to put it simply. Now, one thing I know for sure, I have far too many swing thoughts. However, I understand that in order to improve your performance and become subconscious on the course, you have to have conscious thoughts about what you're doing when you're practicing. Now, on the range during the week, I spend a lot of time finding a feel or trying to find that swing thought that hopefully answers my tee shots problems. And I really feel like I'm getting closer, even though it's not really showing up in the course right now. At the moment, I've actually adopted a shots over strokes mentality. This is advice I've received from two great golfers and coaches that have helped me a lot over the last few months. So the good news is I'm learning a lot about my problems and I'm scaling down to the crux of the issue, which shows up as an over-the-top swing and early extension. Now, you may be able to relate, given that these are common faults amongst high handicappers, so I hope you can find it helpful. Now, for context, I was adamant to fix my problems during the off-season. So much so, I set up a practice net in my back garden and practiced for 30 minutes at least per day, with foam balls mind. Now, this wasn't random practice, but more on that at another time. Now, my first step in my training was to start shallowing the club effectively. So it made sense for me to start at the top of my backswing. You see, I'm very upper body dominant and have an urgency from the top of my swing that results in coming across the plane with an out-in swing path that results in huge inconsistencies, which I've mentioned. What I now know for sure, the swing doesn't go wrong where you see the issue, the swing goes wrong before that point. The issue is a symptom of the problem. I've learned that most visible swing errors like casting, early extension, over the top are not isolated mistakes. They're compensations for breakdowns that occurred earlier in the backswing or at setup. The more I watched my videos, something that was becoming really obvious to me was just how open the club face is at the top of my swing. To counteract this, I've played around with different grips. In fact, over the last 12 months, I played around with a baseball grip to strengthening my trail hand to now actually strengthening my lead hand grip. And this is what I feel most comfortable with. It's amazing how much one has to experiment to achieve even those marginal gains in the game that we love most. It sounds odd, I know, but for a period of time, to hone a new pattern, this is what I have to do. I actually spent some time doing the same thing last year, except when I began videoing my range sessions, it became very obvious to me that I was simply manipulating the club face moments before impact rather than actually changing my pattern. So I'm now back at square one, and my range sessions consist of a quick warm-up using just a golf club, something I picked up from Peter at Golf Strong, and once I feel looser, I do some dry reps before getting to simply trying to hit hooks. If you're a slicer, or if your tendency is to slice, trying to hit a hook is an extremely tough task, especially done consistently with the same shot shape. When I'm not at the range, and this is important, I am also working on my takeaway in front of a mirror or in front of a window frame. I've listened to podcasts with coaches across the world and have also read Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons, and they all talk about how much they're an advocate of mirror work, and it's strongly recommended. I'll leave it there for today, but I'll be back very soon with another update of how I'm getting on mastering the hook and hopefully changing my swing pattern. Thank you for watching, and we'll chat to you very soon.